Let's talk some aliens, Bishop. This is a novel by T.R. Napper. Aliens Bishop is the sequel to Alien slash Alien 3 that a lot of fans wanted much sooner than this for the new Titan Books canon. This is the hunt for Bishop from Aliens and Alien 3. It's being conducted by Marcel Apone, Apone's older brother, who's has a command of colonial marines of his own. One of which is Kari, who's kind of our protagonist through about a third of this book. And she's an Australian who's trying to get citizenship in the United America, so she joined the colonial marines so her family wouldn't live in poverty. She's kind of a nothing burger that kind of... Her character trait is that, like, she can do taekwondo and ruin things for everyone. And she's not the quote unquote girl boss character. She screws up a lot. And it's like her overcoming, like, her failures and becoming a good Marine. That's like her character arc. Meanwhile, Michael Bishop is rebuilt Bishop, giving Bishop a new body, and is trying to get him to divulge all of his dirt on the Queen Xenomorph and what happened on Hadley's Hope. Now we got to get into some funky continuity, because this doesn't contradict Colonial Marines. In fact, there's a little nod to the big twist at the end of that video game, but it's weird. It's a really weird situation. They don't quite line up. So, with Status Interrupted, which is the DLC to Colonial Marines, we got the explanation for spoilers if you haven't played Aliens Colonial Marines. The big twist in that game midway through is you find out that Hicks survived what happened on the Sulaco. And the way they did in Status Interrupted I thought was kind of stupid. And I think a lot of people thought that. And the other big spoiler of Colonial Marines is the non-ending, where we find out that the Bishop that our main characters have been dealing with in that game is a synthetic. And is a really good decoy synthetic. Because Michael Bishop in the new Alien canon, rather than being a descendant of Weyland himself, is just like one of the best android programmers that Weyland-Yutani's ever had. And Michael Bishop has left Weyland-Yutani. He has gone to the Chinese and the UPP and is going to design things for them. And the United America... Weyland-Yutani doesn't want that because of their deal with the United Americas. And that's why Weyland-Yutani agrees for Apone to go after finding Bishop. Because Apone kind of wants some sort of revenge for what happened to his brother. Although that's not a big plot point in this. You'd think it would be, but it's not. What we get is a very unbalanced book. I wouldn't say this is a bad book, but the amount of praise this book gets is solely for the stuff between Michael Bishop and Bishop. That is where this book shines. That is where this author clearly cared about stuff. Because that's where the fascinating stuff with Bishop is. We learn a lot about androids. Unfortunately, Philippa Ballantine in the next book contradicts a lot of it, but we learn a lot about synthetics. Synthetics can taste. They can feel things. They taste and feel things a lot better than humans do. It doesn't necessarily affect them, but they're programmed this way so they can relate to humans. That and so Bishop can feel pain. He can taste subtleties in different whiskeys. Like he has all these things. And is Bishop sentient? Is he not? Like something that's really been pushed throughout these more recent Alien books with um, with the Brian Wood stuff and Philippa Ballantine. They'll deal with stuff with like May, the most perfect android ever. We'll get to her in the next Alien review, but Bishop. I mean, it's really interesting what they do with that. Unfortunately, that's only about half the book, and the other half is kind of like whatever material. Like it's not bad. I've read far worse, especially from Titan Books' Alien continuity. There's some god awful garbage that I've talked about numerous times, but this isn't the unsung classic that I think a lot of people like want this to be. What this is a prime example of we've gotten so much crap that when it isn't crap, it just seems like the greatest thing ever, but it's not. It's okay. In fact, it's borderline good. Um, but like something like Enemy of My Enemy is far better than this. Uncivil War, far better than this. Phalanx, better. Like a lot, there's a lot of stuff that is better than this. But when this book is great, it is like you can't put it down. But unfortunately, this book can't just be android introspection and wondering how human an android can be. It has to be alien stuff, and that's where this book kind of falls apart. There's a lot of fans like kind of subtle fan service to Colonial Marines and not so subtle fan service towards Alien 3. So, for instance, the first conflict the Colonial Marines have are with the Weyland-Yutani mercs that we saw in Alien 3. And we get some nods to Colonial Marines there because that was like the antagonist you had to fight more often than Xenomorphs in that game. And it was just a mediocre first-person shooter. And we get a cool zero-G battle where like they lose gravity in the hangar and people get mangled and stuff. And that's really thought out and good. We get it from Kari's perspective, and it's her first combat encounter as a soldier. We find out that she was part of like this riot that killed a family member of hers, and like is the reason that like she wanted to become a Marine. And that's like that's like the one time in this book where it feels like we're getting modern day politics thrown in. And I was not a fan of that. It took me out of the book. Also, we get a lot of Sun Tzu and Musashi stuff in this. There's a lot of Japanese and Chinese philosophy that's thrown in, and it doesn't quite mesh up well. I like the idea. It's very different. It just doesn't quite land, I think, the way it was intended. The Xenomorph stuff's kind of like whatever, but the big thing that this book does is it contradicts. There's something I won't get into it because it involves spoilers, but it does contradict this guidebook that came out in 2014 by S.D. Perry, and that's like the big goof of this one, which I thought was funny because there was so much effort to not really contradict Colonial Marines, because there was this big stink Fox made back when Colonial Marines came out. No one talks about this anymore, But it was something that really upset a lot of us Alien fans was that Fox is like, this is the true continuation of Alien. It's like, really? Bad enough we have Prometheus now, but now we have Colonial Marines. For the first time ever, they've decided a video game, because they even do this with Isolation. They've never done it with any other video game. They're like, this is the definitive canon. This is part of our definitive canon. And it's like, really, you picked the worst, like one of the worst games ever, like to make your canon. Like, I don't get it. And to this day, this was the book I was like, okay, we're gonna find out if Colonial Marines is still canon or not. And as far as I can tell, it is. Um, but like a technical manual isn't canon now. Like, that's just weird. It's kind of arbitrary, and I get why the author did it. It did contradict because it was kind of thematic, but you could have worked it out differently. Again, like, I can't go into detail with this because it'd get into spoilers, and I think this is one of those books you should check out. Because it's fascinating. It's got some hard sci-fi elements in it, which is nice. Comparing this to Vasquez, where at times in that book you'd forget it was a science fiction book and not just like a Latin drama. Like, this is the better of the two Aliens cash grab tie-in books. Because that's when they put Aliens on the title instead of Alien, you know it's going to be like, first thing is it's going to be a cash grab. But at least this is readable. It's better than readable. It's pretty good. What would I rank it? 3.5 out of 5. It's worth your time to check out if you're a hardcore Aliens fan. If this is like the one Aliens book you read, it's a fine one to read. Are there better Alien books? Absolutely. There are better Alien books in this modern continuity, but this is one of the better ones. For a continuity that just has so much bad in it now, it's nice when it isn't terrible. So, anyway, have a nice day.